This module is about strategic planning. This is going to be really short because most of the content in this section is going to come from other sources, but I just want to give you a brief introduction to what we're really going to be talking about and why we're going to be talking about it. First, I thought it would be important to touch on some key strategic planning fallacies, the sorts of things that I've heard over the years on why this section really isn't very important. So why should we develop a strategy? It's just going to change anyway. That's like asking why you should get up in the morning. Of course it's going to change anyway, but you need to be able to think strategically because it teaches you what are going to be the influences, and most importantly, what you're going to learn in this section is how do you identify the things you can impact and separate them from the things you can't impact, and to develop a plan that is the least susceptible to things you can't control. Next, everybody knows how to build a strategy. Yeah, you just sort of think about some stuff you're going to do off into the future. Well, you know, very often those are like sets of future operational plans, but they're really not strategies. Strategies really think about the moving parts that are outside of your organization. That's really the key that you're gonna learn here. So I argue everyone doesn't know how to build a strategy because if they did, there'd be more strategic thinkers around, and there aren't many. Next, we don't want a strategy because we want to retain our agility. This is my favorite one. As if to think that because you have a strategic plan or a strategic vision that somehow limits what it is that you do in your company or your organization or even just yourself. That's kind of ridiculous because the truth is that, again, a good strategic plan lays out a number of plausible futures. That's why we're going to learn about scenario planning in this section. Lays out a number of possible futures and forces you to think through making decisions that are good decisions no matter which of these happen to be true, or none. Now, how about this? We did a strategic plan a few years ago, so we don't need to do it again. There's an interesting article I read about how people who do strategic plans seem to fall into a few different categories. There's the ones that just don't want to do them at all. Then there are the ones that want to do a strategic plan and put it on the shelf and they don't want to revisit it for a few years. But the right answer, and everybody agrees on this, is the right answer is to, first of all, figure out how to make strategic planning not painful, fairly simple, and an organic part of what it is your organization does. It's an event that you do once a year at a minimum, possibly more, and you continually return to those documents and think about what's changed, what's different, where are we going in the future? And this is going to be really important. You'll look into the future where we're going to go in this course we talk about open innovation and looking at other companies. What are other companies and other organizations doing? How do those things impact us? Well, anytime you ask those questions, it's a snapshot in time. This has got to be a part of your process. This is a process, not a thing. So some quick objectives for this module is I want you to understand why you should think strategically. If you don't really think you should think strategically, you won't. So I want you to understand why, and there's some material on that. And you're going to learn some ways to think strategically. The big one we're going to talk about the most is scenario planning, thinking through scenarios and what those outcomes might be. But there are others. And you want to learn how to apply a strategy to operations because strategy alone does nothing for anybody. The point of a strategy is that it helps you to fluidly work your operations in an efficient manner because you've thought about things strategically and you don't have to constantly think, well, gee, what if I make that decision, what's that going to mean in the bigger picture? Well, I've got a strategic plan that should have laid all that out for me. I should know whether taking on this new project is a good thing or a bad thing based on my strategy. So that's a quick nutshell on what we're going to talk about in strategic planning. Now I'll be quiet and sort of let these others do their talking. I've got a bunch of material on this, and I'll just let you work through it.